All right, let's jump right in. We're going to explore a really unique and, kind of complex spiritual theory. It's all about our human potential and the idea that the key to this profound inner transformation is, believe it or not, held within our own blood. This whole concept is called the Etherization of the blood, and that's what we're breaking down today.
So what on earth does that mean, right? Well, this quote really gets to the core of what we're talking about. The source material is basically saying that our physical body, that's only half the story. There's this other, invisible life body that's absolutely central to unlocking a hidden spiritual process deep within our own biology.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the secret potential supposedly hidden in our blood. Then we'll explore why morality is the surprising first step on this path. After that, we'll get into the mechanics of what's called the body's spiritual engine. And finally, we'll look at the ultimate goal of all of this, a process called ascension.
Our journey really starts by looking at the heart and our blood, not just as, biological parts, but as vessels for something more. The source material suggests that their functions go way, way beyond what conventional science tells us.
Okay, so this is the big idea we need to wrap our heads around. The etheric body. You can think of it like a life force blueprint, an energy field that literally builds and maintains our physical form. This is that life body we heard about in the opening quote.
To really get the etheric body, you got to look at two opposing forces. On one side, you have entropy. We all know that one. It's the universe's tendency to fall apart, toward disorder and decay. But this theory says the etheric body works on a totally opposite principle it calls ectropic, an active, life-building force that brings organization and, get this, levity.
Now, you might think a spiritual journey like this would kick off with some complex rituals or intense meditation, right? But the source is super clear. This entire transformation is grounded in one thing, and that's our own moral development.
So here's the kicker. The heart is seen as so much more than a pump. It's the moral command center where this whole transformation gets started. And that phrase, pure virgin heart, it's not literal, of course. It's symbolic of a state of moral purity, of an untainted and clear intention.
And this foundational stage actually has a name, Sutrayana. It's presented as the absolute, non-negotiable first step. It's all about developing ethics, compassion, and morality. The idea is that this entire practice must be grounded in the heart before you can even think about making any other kind of progress.
Okay, so let's say we have that moral foundation in place. How does this process actually work? This next part really gets into the nuts and bolts of what's described as a kind of inner alchemy.
The path is described as a journey upwards, climbing through the body's energy centers, or chakras. It all starts with Sutrayana, that morality in the heart. Then it moves up to Mantrayana, using pure sound from the throat. Then Vajrayana, with powerful visualizations from the brow. And finally, Tantrayana, where you embody a higher, divine state at the crown.
And here's where it gets really wild, where the spiritual and the physical supposedly connect. The theory borrows the scientific term biomineralization to describe a tangible result of this process, the actual depositing of specific minerals, sometimes called brain sand, in the head. It's meant to be a physical marker of your spiritual progress.
A key to really getting this inner alchemy is understanding the symbolic view of the human head. It's not just seen as a part of the body, but as a miniature replica of the entire universe, a microcosm reflecting the macrocosm.
And this cosmic connection gets super specific. The 7 openings in our head, eyes, ears, nostrils, mouth, are said to correspond to 7 cosmic ethers. The physical structure of the cerebellum is said to mirror the tree of life, and they even say there's a wish-fulfilling stone inside the head. So, what's the spark plug for this whole engine? Well, the theory points to 2 tiny but mighty players, the pineal and pituitary glands. It suggests that piezoelectric crystals in the pineal gland create a literal spark. This spark is then received by the pituitary, which causes it to release a special substance, a substance the ancients poetically called the dew of heaven.
And this is so important because the whole thing isn't a one-way street. This internal process, this earthly nutrition that rises up from a morally purified system is said to actually invite a response from the spiritual world. The source calls this cosmic nutrition, like a form of spiritual nourishment you receive in return for your work. So why? What's the point of all this intense inner work? Let's get to our final section, which explores the ultimate goal of the process, ascension, and what the source colorfully calls becoming the rainbow warrior.
Well, the objectives are pretty profound, to say the least.
They include taming that inner dragon of our lower desires, which circles right back to that foundation of morality. It's about replicating the kind of spiritual transformations you see in figures like Christ. But the main goal, the big prize, is establishing direct communication with higher spiritual beings.
You know, this quote just nails it. No matter what tradition you're looking at, no matter the specific words they use, the central claim is that it all boils down to this one thing: direct communication and communion with the divine. And get this, some traditions tied to this theory suggest that there are very few, maybe only two, legitimate paths to this knowledge left today. One of them is the incredibly difficult journey of self-initiation that we've just been talking about.
So we'll leave you with this final, really provocative thought from the source material. It presents a world where our biology and our spirituality are completely fused. And the question it kind of leaves us with is this: what happens when we stop viewing the human body as just a machine and start seeing it as a vessel for cosmic transformation?